Hello, so I'm Léna from the Success team, and I already know, I think, a lot of you. Today we're going to talk about governance. So obviously AI deployment is still quite new. Not only did the technology barely existed a few years ago, but also the questions around deployment are endless. For instance, what should you do? Would you go for a bottom-up or top-down approach? How do you select high-value use cases? Which are the good KPI to track adoption, ROI? So those are the topics that we are going to discuss. And we are super happy to have Damien, Thelma, and Laure with us today. So you come from 3 different companies, 3 different industries, and also you've been through different stages of deployment. So before jumping into the conversation, let's introduce yourself, and also I'm super curious about what's the current agent you are using the most at the moment. If you want to start, Laure.
Okay, so I'm Laure. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for the invitation. So I'm Director of AI and Analytics at Mirakl. So I'm leading both analytics for teams and within the product, which is super linked today to AI and internal AI. So I'm leading all the deployment of AI within the Mirakl team to optimize the process, the workflows, etc. And the agent I'm using the most, it's not maybe the one I'm using the most is my personal one, but like the one I'm iterating on the most. It's a challenge I love to work on these days. It's actually a skill to be able to do Google Slides PowerPoints sticking to the Mirakl template. So that's nightmare, and I managed to kind of crack it, but it's not perfect yet. So it's the one I'm working on the most right now.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you all. I'm Thelma, I'm Chief of Staff at Akur8. For those who don't know, Akur8, we're a global actual AI platform. Just to give you an idea, Akur8 is 230 people now. And as Chief of Staff, I'm co-working with our CTO, Frank, and 2 IT Ops managers to successfully deploy Dust. And now the deployment is over to make sure the adoption and usage is satisfactory for our needs. So my agents, I didn't think up all the question, but the one I like the most is my memory. Like I have a lot of agenda to schedules for the different meetings that we have at different things level. Each time I have an idea about what should be said during the upcoming meeting, I just add it to the memory. I come back 2 days later. What did I have on the agenda? And I have my agenda. I get you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So Damien, I'm responsible for AI and automation transformation at ManoMano, so the e-commerce company. I've been at ManoMano for 4 years, and I come from the operations department. So I was responsible for process improvement for 4 years. And before then, I was in Apple for 8 years. So I was doing also processes, quality, etc. So I come from this background of process. I already was doing a bit of AI and dabbling into it. And now this is my full-time job, if you will, to manage the rollout of Dust, but also other tools and ensure the right governance and ensure that people find use for it as well. And actually finding use for it, speaking of agents, my personal agent is also a good example that I would use. And if I can speak about an agent that's been involving me as well. So we have account managers, and we use a CRM tool called Zobo. It's not one of the tools that's available in Dust, but we use an MCP. And the challenge has been to connect that MCP and transform our account managers day to day with that tool, automated notes, automated leads, etc. So it's in quite an exciting space, and one of the favorite agents I've been working on at the moment, I guess.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, you've been through different phases of deployment. Thelma, for Akur8, you started with a pilot. Can you explain the motivation in doing a pilot and also how you conducted it?
Sure. So to provide more context on the why the pilot with Dust, before Dust, we've been equipping our teams with ChatGPT for all our employees. The satisfaction with the usage was super nice, like 100% people were using ChatGPT. But what we were lacking at this stage was more collaborative experience on the AI platform. We had a lot of people working on ChatGPT for their own purpose, and we wanted to increase the usage for collaborative agents that could transform a bit more our processes and way of working. So we've been engaging with Dust. We started the pilots. We've been doing a 2 or 3 weeks pilots. And we decided to focus on what at the moment was the most painful for us. Some collecting information for account management team on the account. So that was the first use case for sales. Another use case was to test the ability of Dust for helping our coding teams with coding insights and support. And the last use case was knowledge management. As a startup, we have a lot of different tools. The knowledge is spread across different tools. So accessing this information, no matter what is your team, was something that we wanted to test with Dust. So we've been identifying these 3 specific use cases. And for the pilots, we focused on these 3 areas with targeted people that we are that will be implementing and working on the different use cases. So people identified, use case identified, and after all, why not having all the company testing the tool to make sure like it satisfies everyone's needs and use cases. So we decided to open the tool on a voluntary basis to all the company. So we had surprisingly 100 people asking for having the access. So for us at this stage of Akur8, it was half of the team. So we were able to test our different agents, and we had all the teams testing our different tools. And at this stage, we were able to identify our most active users. That was after the pilots, the ones that are now the champions of this community at Akur8.
Thank you. Damien, you went also in kind of a commando phase in January because you deployed Dust in January and you went from 0 to 500 users in only a few weeks, which was pretty impressive. Can you explain how you prepared these deployments?
Yeah, indeed. So we started Dust on January 12th. So it was beginning of the year. It started with a plan that we had started earlier in the previous year because we tested Dust before with a reduced number of people just to see what value the tool could add, and just finding some concrete use cases and also generate a bit of excitement. So we have few early testers, the tool was there, but we were just still mapping things. And then came the time we said, well, Dust is the right tool for ManoMano, for us. And so let's look shit. But how do we do that? You have 500 people, 500 ways maybe of doing things, different teams, engineering, product, account managers. So how do you do that? Well, we had a very structured plan. So we launched it on January 12th. So first week, we just gave it to everyone, the open access to everyone. And we had a guy using Frame, actually. So it was a good way for people to get started and actually realize the value of the tool already. So that was the first thing. Okay, so some people started using it, fine. And then the second week, we had training for everyone. And so there was 2 sessions, so 500 people, live training. And the one thing about the training was, I said to people, this is going to be a working session. You're not going to hear me talk for 45 minutes. It's going to be a session where we will do actual work. And that implied finding the right tools to showcase. So for example, we use Google Workspace. So there's tons of things that you can do with Google. You can locate documents. We also use Slack, so you can also do stuff with Slack. And the challenge during the training was to have people already use the tool. So challenge, you have 10 minutes, use at least one tool, find one use case, and then let's give it a go. So we had people try the tool directly. And on top of that, already showing them like how it can add value. Like for example, you can search everything. That's one thing. Not only can search everything, but it can also take actions. You're not simply using it like ChatGPT. You can also, for example, in Jira, if you use Jira as ticket management, you can create a ticket from there. So it was about showing the value from the start from this initial training session, having people get hands-on with the tool, find value, find common tasks that people can relate to, and that can depend on your company environment. But I think like is searching for stuff, creating content, creating tickets is something that can like many different companies have different tools for that. And thus is a way to bring that together. And so the value was immediate from the start. So we had 70% adoption right from the first weeks of training. Now we are 80%. So the challenge now is to convert maybe those occasional users into required one. But the value was clear from the start, and it was very important for the training to get people to use it and find value in those hands-on cases.
And Laure, actually, you are entering year 2 of deploying AI, and maybe actually year 3 because you were using ChatGPT prior to Dest. Can you explain what's the post-onboarding phase looks like at Mirakl now that you have 800 users and more than 400 agents?
500 agents.
Oh, sorry.
But that's the challenge. So the big challenge now, so we've been through all this phase, we'll talk about that later, but the champion organization and everything, the trainings and everything. So now it's, we're still into the training phase, etc. always. But the big challenge right now for us, and I think it really resonates with what we heard in the introduction from Gabriel, the big challenge for now today, it's how do we make agents that are not like just like nice stuff that people use on a weekly basis, but actual critical business agents and workflow that run on the background and like operates part of the job than some people are doing today. And that's the big challenge we have today. And it means redesigning the workflows. It means making AI the operating system of people in their daily job and of teams. Like it's personal and it's at department level. So it means it's we're talking about organization, and we will go through the different topics after. But like, yeah, how do we get organized? Like all the governance topic, governance meaning like of data, context, agents, all the type of questions we are asking ourselves right now. So yeah, like the big challenge today, it's how do we scale in an like a governed way, not like with the today it's we did a lot of cleaning, so it's not 500 anymore. I'm looking at from you. But yeah, last week we had 500 agents, so that was a big change.
Thanks. We mentioned the champion model, and at Akur8, Thelma, I know that you've put in place after the pilot a champion model. Can you explain how did you define it and how you selected also the champion?
Yes, so as I said before, during the pilots, we have a bunch of active users that were identified to be the future champion for the community. We've been thinking about a simple model: one team, one champion. The more big is the team, the bigger the team is, the more champions they have, so that we can make sure that we are following up on the team's needs and that they have enough support to execute all the use cases that they have in mind. So we do have a champion or team that will be in charge of validating all the agents that are published at team level. So we've been providing them with a specific checklist. They must ensure that every agent that is published company-wide at Akur8 meets all the requirements on the checklist. And then they approve or not the agents. If not approved, then we refine the agent with the persons that have been publishing it, so that it enables the people being more autonomous on the solution. And there are also, if some people are more shy, building their own agents, they will help people putting some use case in production. When they have an idea in the team, they will be in charge of proactively meet the person, understanding the needs, and think about what could be an agent that will fulfill this need. And last but not least, they are also thinking about ways to engage their team with a solution. So we identify part of the teams that have a low adoption. We discuss with them how we could increase the engagement with the solution and how we could put more autonomy into the team in building agents and share it with the whole team. We also have to animate our community of champions. a specific governance, we need them on a monthly basis to read a call. We discuss with them about the different KPI of usage that we want to highlight with them. We discuss together how to improve those KPIs and how we get to the target ones that we have set up. And we also let them speak about what have been working, what have not been working within their team so that they can share their experience and give them some ideas, some concrete stuff to put in place within their teams to engage with us. I think that's it.
Thank you.
For the champion model.
And Laure, on your side, I think that you've seen limitation in the champion model, and now at Mirakl, you've moved from a champion model to a new model because you needed to scale adoption. Can you explain?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so we still have champions and we still see them on a monthly basis, and Léna is coming and we're showcasing use case. So and I still see a lot of value, and especially during the first year with the champion models. And this is how you will also see people emerge, the one that will become your real builders also. So we are entering into the builder phase today. So moving from champion to builders, we realized that we started with just a small team. So at that point, it was a bit of me and Léon, who's now at this, and then Romeo. We grew the central team a little bit, but at the beginning just a little bit, and we had the champions within the different teams identified by the leaders. But then these champions, and I don't know if it's the case for you guys, but actually they don't really have time because they have a job, and like they are, yeah, but I had to do that and I had to do that. So they do stuff, of course, and they learn, but they don't really have the time it takes to build a product, because at some point that's what you want to build. You want to build products for the different departments. So we realized that we had to dedicate some people. So we started with the two teams, the two departments that had the most transformation stakes, sales and customer success. So also is there in the room. So the first AI builder also. So we started with these teams, and right now we're gonna hire like internally or externally way more AI builders, and these guys will be the one that will still work with the different people within the teams to help them build their personal agents, have ideas. I still really believe that it makes sense to have everybody building, because this is where you get the ideas. The people who know the job will be the one getting the ideas, but then to scale these ideas into a product that runs and operates by itself, you need people with product engineering mindsets that will scale the agents and workflows. So this is where we are.
And on that, how do you recruit this AI builder? Because it's kind of a new job. What are you looking into when you try to hire those people?
I'm right into it now. I drafted the job desks. No, yeah, I'm looking, like what I was telling you, like I'm looking at product mindsets, like how do you solve an issue? How do you identify the pain points? How do you ituate? And then some engineering skills, a little bit of coding, a little bit of do you know what's a webhook? Do you know how to handle APIs? So that kind of stuff that you can learn also. I'm not saying like, but we have we are building a skill grid, and then we will assess people on that skill grid. Yeah. So, but we are at the beginning of the process of really scaling that company.
Damien, if you had to look back at the deployment phase, because it was super successful, are there any specific either items or workshops that you would have done differently?
For sure. And to give a nuance answer, it's interesting because I'm constantly revisiting, okay, well, we could have done this, and then maybe it worked well, and maybe there's different approaches. So one thing, we opened the floodgates directly. We just let everyone use it. So it could have gone well and could have gone, well, okay, I just tried it once and then I didn't go back. So it was a bit of a bet. I guess, and we're now at this stage, I think you mentioned around the builder, because now, okay, people are using it, people are creating agents, is how do you embed that into habits? And that comes with, of course, people using it every day, but also agents that are dedicated to common use cases and tasks, etc. So we made the choice of having agents that could speak to people directly. with each, for example, use Jira, where you have your Jira buddy agent. That's recognizable for people. People can use it. They know Jira. They know that the agent can do X and Y for them. So that's great. But how do you create agents that are not tied to specific tools, but to specific processes and are actually embedded into processes and workflows company-wide? And that's where we're at. And that's maybe what something that I would have done, maybe spend a little bit more time, maybe building those agents, building those use cases. Now we are building it now, and the adoption figures are going well still. But that's maybe one thing. But then again, I'm just thinking, well, it worked this way. So I think at the end of the day, the lesson here is that maybe there's no one playbook, and it's constantly to adjust. We had this plan to launch, and it was, okay, week 1, we make it available. Week 2, we train everyone. Week 3 actually was we train people to build agents. And then week 4, we start with department-specific training. So maybe we would have done the builder training first so that people have more agents. But really, it's and I think that's the nature of the world. We're going to come to that. It's just constantly just adjust, be flexible, and see what works best in the moment rather than following a pre-planned process.
Laure, you also been through this bottom-up approach, but now you mentioned that the main objective is scaling and that governance is a big topic for you. What are your current struggles in that case?
Yeah, at the 500 agents. So yeah, that's one of the big struggles we have right now with governance. So we started what we want to do. We want to implement a set of rules to govern the agent by themselves, because actually at the beginning we were the one also we implemented the playbook. You have to come to us with your agents that we have a checklist and then we will validate them, etc. Well, people don't come to you, they don't follow the checklist. You know how it works. So we want to automate that. So we've been working with the team to list criteria. I can give you an example. Like if an agent is not used more than X times a week, or not by more than one person, because if it's a one-person agent, it shouldn't be published. That kind of criteria. Then we want to automate and run an in-810 workflow on a weekly basis to unpublish automatically some agents, to put some tags on some agents, the approve tag, the tag to say, okay, it's a sales agent, it's a whatever, it's an API agent, whatever. So automating that routines. So for now, we've set all the criteria. We've done the cleaning. The team has done the cleaning by themselves last week, and we want to automate that with APIs. So I think we've been asking for that, and I think you did it. So we've seen that last week. No, you released something?
Yesterday.
Yeah. So you see also this is how it works with this. So you say, yeah, we need that. We need APIs to unpublish agents. We really need that, and then they do it. So that's great. So that's the next step. We're gonna that's the big struggle we have today. It's that. So we did it manually, and the next step is to have all of it automated. So thank you, Léna. We're gonna test it right away. I think Romeo already tested it actually.
Yeah, it was a specific gift for Romeo. If we talk now about measurement, KPI, I think what is super interesting at Akur8 is you look at adoption as collaboration. You don't want just adoption for adoption, monthly active users. You're really we want a platform that is collaborative. So how do you track collaborative adoption? Which are the KPIs that you are looking into to achieve that goal?
Yes, indeed. We did not buy dust to have everyone asking ChatGPT stuff all day. So the first one we are looking is the ratio, thanks to Margarita, who print this out during the last QPR, the ratio between generic LLMs and the ratio of message sends, to generic LLM vs the one sent to custom agents. And this ratio is important to make sure that people are using the tool with full capability, because it's a thing that because we have 100% active users on Dust on a weekly basis. So that's not enough. We need to just look at the usage of the custom agents to make sure that people are taking the most of the platform and that are using all the functionality, to then having a team, selon the KPI we are looking, building some agents that will be for collaborative usage, to make sure that AI embedded into our different processes, that is the basis that accurate into the process we are designing. We need to make sure that Dust is solving some process that we have, and is that people are building agents that will serve all of the team or part of the team, or some cross-team collaboration topic on process internally that we have. So that's the two main KPIs that we are looking. Also, we're super happy when we see a sales team member have been saving 5 hours of the time because they've been using our RFP agents. That's great as well. But the more important and that we are following on a monthly basis are these two. And then we highlight some achievements that I just said on RFP. But
Thank you. Talking about time saved, I know that Damien, you've been looking into ROI and how to calculate and how to measure ROI from the beginning. Can you explain a bit your framework?
Yeah, for sure. And that's my process from the background. It wasn't just rolling out AI. It's also what impact does it have? And so first, my big key is, of course, ROI adoption. So yes, are people using it? Fine. Now we got 80%, so that's fine. But adoption isn't everything. So once you go a little bit deeper, of course, you've got your adoption, your monthly adoption, your weekly adoption, your daily adoption. So the goal now is to convert weekly users into daily ones, and maybe make sure basically we reduce the gap between our monthly active users from our weekly active users to our daily active users, just to make sure that it's actually being used on the day-to-day. So that's the first thing. The second thing is about how many hours does it save? And thanks to Léna and the team, we have a framework that we use, and I think it's probably the same, where we are able, thanks to the number of messages, the ratio of messages sent to generic versus custom agents. We also look at the kind of tools that are being used, and that enables us to come up with a number of hours. And hours are super powerful because hours are language that people can relate to. You talk to a VP, you say, well, your team used Dust with X amount of messages, and they say, now, of course, it's an estimate. You can't say for sure, but you can put a number of hours next to it. And so that's been really helpful. Months and months to track the number of hours. You've got adoption, you've got hours, and that's that. One of the things that we did as well prior to the rollout was to try to see in each of the different departments where things could be automated, because we were making a decision about choosing Dust, and we wanted to see what sort of potential gain we could have. So we launched a survey, and we didn't just drop a Google form or a survey link. We tried to make it engaging so people could collect points, etc., just to raise the kind of repetitive tasks that we're doing, how many hours it was taking them every week. And then from that, in each of the department, identify each of the pockets where we could go for, and then see how we could respond to that with the stages. So for example, you've got sales teams logging notes on their CRM, where that takes, let's say, 10 hours per week. Now we have an agent for that. And that's clear ROI, because you can see that 10 hours are saved every week for them, just to take an example. And I think like you got also to look beyond the metrics. It's all about this transformation, because of course you have your adoption, your number of hours, but then you also got the general feeling of people. And I suppose you get messages as well, DMs, solicitations, etc. Now I try to ask people just use this and redirect them to that, which works okay. But I also get messages from people that I don't know at all, and just say, hey, Damien, Dust is really changing my life, changing my work life, and thanks for what you're doing. I say, well, I'm just going to pass this thanks to the team in Dust, and that's one of the things as well. It's less tangible, but it's having such a meaningful impact that people just express that, and that's great to see. So you got, of course, the metrics, your hours, your KPIs, but there's also this general feeling of actually the tool just having a net positive on the day-to-day processes in day-to-day life of our employees. So.
Thank you. Maybe a last question to conclude. A different topic, because AI Ops, I know you're Chief of Staff, Thelma, but AI Ops is kind of a new job, and it comes with a lot of responsibility, we can say. Laure, how do you manage the speed at which the ecosystem is evolving? And also, how do you manage what we call AI LinkedIn FOMO from maybe people inside your company?
I don't look at LinkedIn anymore, but my boss does, so I have to. Yeah, it's really not easy, and we are encouraged a lot by our CEOs to test and try. So of course, using our platform, our enterprise tools, but also going beyond. So we're testing a lot of things. So people want always more. They want the legal team wants to use code, and then so it's going everywhere. So you are also the one saying, hey, yeah, but no, but like you should go there. And what's your use case? You want to do a newsletter? Use this, that kind of. So you always have to have these kind of conversations. So I would say do both. Let people test, like test different tools in different ways, and then like also try to engage people to stay within the ecosystem that you are building, which you govern, because this is the way you will really transform a company. It's not like having everyone like using ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, that you will transform a 100 people company. So yeah, I don't know if it's really answering the question, but like test and try, and like it's good to challenge yourself also on the tools that you use, and challenge us also, saying like, hey, we can do that with another tool. So it's also the way your product is evolving. But yeah, it's important also to build a stack that will be company wide, and that everybody will be working on the same stack for the collaboration and the transformation.
Thank you so much. I think now we can take a few questions from the audience.
I think you need to sing. Il n'y a pas besoin. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I have a question that is for you, Laure. You said that you deactivate agents, or you unpublish that.
That's harsh.
Well, maybe I don't know, but I will do it because maybe there's an agent developed by someone who just uses it and it's very useful. Or maybe he hasn't shared it with the right people because they're in different departments, so they don't share the same data, so they can't be shared directly.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you unpublish? Well, what do you gain from this?
Unpublish doesn't mean like you archive or you delete them. It's just that if it's an agent used by only one person,
Okay.
but that's okay. It shouldn't be published.
Unless people don't use it because they don't see
Yeah,
it.
so we send a Slack notification. Warning, of course, we warn the person saying, hey, your agent blah blah is being unpublished. If you I don't know, I don't remember the message, but it's something like if you believe it should be shared more widely, go ahead and share it again and then publish it again. So that's the kind of stuff we do. I agree with you.
I'm very irritated that way.
As the builder, one of the issues I'm facing is making sure that people who, but the end user, it will actually have another job than using Dust, keep aware of what agents exist, what they can or cannot do, to make sure that they know what's happening, that you don't have the whole agent being created, to keep this awareness for first, and second, to make sure that I've got everyone embarked within all teams, within all regions as well, and to make sure that we don't have like only top users and the rest that fall behind. How in your company are you managing these two issues?
I'm interested into your answer. So.
No, because the agency is something we already face as well. So in terms of the I guess the comeback on on the whole workflow, like because yes, you don't want only a few power users use the platform. You want to lift all the boats because that's how you achieve transformation. You don't achieve transformation. They got 500 people or 600. You don't achieve transformation. There's just 10 people. It has to be a critical mass of people, and the more the better. So for me, it's really all about going beyond programs because we have a champions program and we start with that and it's continuing. Same also the challenges. I mean, we've tried to talk to the managers to have the goals of AI champion embodied, so that's happening a little bit, but it's still like a side quest to them. That's at the time. But it's all about finding those sparks of innovation. So sometimes someone will come to you, they're not a champion, they're not particularly involved with AI, but I will spend the time to go with them and try to build what they are trying to build. So it's about identifying, so not be open to that, not be so open that everybody sort of chat you, but find the people with the right ideas and let them come to you and start to build with the agents. Because what I found is that sometimes it's people that don't belong to our champions program. It's not people that are designated as AI champion that actually build things. Because sometimes it's those people that actually know the process that they are automating, etc. So then you spend some time with them and they build their agents and it creates some sort of emulation. So for me, it's all about maybe challenging established frameworks and just trying to sponsor people to build their agent when I see those sparks occurring. And I think there was another question as well that's important question.
Yeah, I think the question was about how do you manage agent duplication and scaling maybe the agent. On that, what I see from customers is that at some point they tend to have an agent roadmap. So agents are managed as a product. And within this roadmap, you have the most complex agents that are tackled by maybe the AI builder, which is the job and has the capabilities to do so. And the rest of the roadmap is still owned by the team, the champions, the end users, but the roadmap is centralized and communicated to the rest of the company so that everyone knows which are the priorities and also knows which are the team that are working on specific agent to not be redoing again and again the same agents.
And I think, thanks, Léna. If I may also comment, because just to speak about the organization, we have an organization with tags by department. So basically, the tags are people that belong to a department. So we have all agents organized through these departments. And since we manage the tags, it's easy enough. So it has people can go to the department space and find agents there. So we try to work with that. And also we're thinking about maybe having a verified agent, so that's tag as well, so that people can just find those common use cases. But it's definitely
And maybe to go even further after that, because you have a shared roadmap, but people don't follow it. I'm always a bit the same. We are working on workflows and I did not fully crack it. It's still a bit a challenge, the duplications and stuff. But of course, I 100% agree with you. The first thing is to communicate really the priorities so people don't duplicate the work. But then still you will have like duplications, small stuff, etc. So people need to find the agents. So working on, I think maybe there is something on the roadmap also, like we have an agent that's called Agent Advisor. So same with the workflow, grabbing all the agents, the API, building a database with the list of agents. And then this agent is reading the database and saying, if you're looking at, okay, I want something about legal or whatever, like it's giving you a bit what exists. But also you have to get people using it also. And we want also in the same workflow that we are building to automate a bit the governance, to have something around also running every week to check, okay, these should be duplicates, and sending a Slack to people saying, you have these agents that look the same, you should talk, that kind of stuff. It's like, again, in these ideas of automating all that stuff, because like when you grow, it's getting difficult.
Was a question for you, and
As you're all part of a company of more than 200 employees, my case might not be niche. How do you manage when you're on Dust and like asking for information that the data is actually like reliable? You can it's because we have like different sources. It could be like the CRM source or like something else. How do you manage that? Do you manage that?
We try, I guess, to wanna.
Go ahead.
Cannot long.
Yeah, kind of. For each of the agents looking for company information, we always add at the end of the agent something that's is providing a level of confidence about the answer that he's providing. For example, if your question is, can you give me the context about this client? You can look in Salesforce and Slack and give me the latest updates. If the level of confidence is 100%, you don't have to look at all the data. If it's 80%, you will have like just to ask for the sources and maybe look at the sources where it's checking and just double check. It's a global mindset that everyone needs to have, I think. Like the agent is not like any agent, no agent is 100% perfect. And in our governance, we've been introducing when we validate an agent, junior agents or senior agents. Junior agents are agents that so we built was just been published, we've been testing it, but not enough to say it's super reliable. So you will check even more as information that is providing. The senior agents who are very confident, and the emoji is like this, we are super confident about the answer. So you can go ahead and always check, but with more confidence than junior agents. So we have two levels of approving agents at our stage.
I love the idea. That's good.
Yes.
So it's the same like for the Dust, the main Dust statements, what we try to encourage are in terms of connection. So we try to select the sources that we connect us because of course you can connect Confluence, you can connect Slack, you can connect Drive, but try to first clearly select the sources that the Dust agent would use. And then for specific department agents, for example, for our sales agents, or they have there's a knowledge base in Zoho, the CRM tool that we use. There's Confluence pages. There's also Slack. So then the agent would try to search for different sources, and often Slack would be used for recent processes, things that have been communicated, whereas the official process would be maybe in Confluence. So it's all about the agent as well, knowing that where this might be the source of information. However, you don't want to limit that because maybe there's been an announcement or something. So, and then it's also making people sensitive to that. So in its answer to say, well, I found this on Slack. It's recent, so it's been announced by this person. So you can use it, but just at your own caution. So it's about prioritizing those different sources, I guess.
There's question here. And I'll go there, and then
Hi, thank you for the talk. So I work for like 1,000 more employee company. And so do you have any insight on how do you look at maturity of a department? And yeah, those changes where it's not like gaining time, but it's more doing things that we could not do before. Yeah, you have a kind of KPIs that you follow around those.
Was it?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So, and we're still in early stages. So we launched in Gary 12, but we had some AI tools before that we were using. We also had automation solutions as well. And I think one of the things that we found first was that, well, hey, okay, well, it's now easy to automate this process or to create this additional content, but do you really need that? Do you need that extra slide deck? Do you need that extra document? So the first thing has been to make people sensitive about where you might automate this process, but do you really need to automate it, or can you just remove it? So it's something that I'm starting to track. It's not only the amount of content created, but the amount of processes that have been simplified. So maybe you had this process, you wanted to automate it, but maybe you don't need to automate it because it's not adding value. So that's one thing that I'm tracking, is not only the amount of content created, but also if you look at the department, you map the department's process, and then you see what's been automated and what's been removed. So that's the first step. But then it's a challenge, I guess, to measure how, I guess, because the ROI question is, well, you might create content, but then is that content really useful, or is it being used? So that's one thing. So yes, I'm wondering like maybe some different perspectives as well. Like
Honestly, we're a bit the same idea of we did not fully did it, to be honest, because like mapping, listing all the workflow of a company. And so honestly, I don't have a KPI either on that, and it's really a challenge also. But we're trying also to grasp this kind of use case where it's not only like replacing something that exists, but like finding something new or adding new leads or new ways of working. So it's more for now, honestly, for me, it's more just grabbing these and showcasing them. But really, I don't have a KPI of or a way of tracking it. And for us, first, and maybe because we were not doing that much automation also at Mirakl, to be honest. Like first tracking the time saved, it's already kind of a challenge. Like really like having a proof point of this is saving time. So yeah, like but that's a very good question. If you have ideas, I'm happy to hear them.
Yeah, maybe just a few words on how do you check usage and maybe maturity per department. So I think the methodology that Damien mentioned that we have into Dust, well, not in the product, but we can provide it, is that we do look at all the outputs from agent, and then we also classify the output based on the type of tool that have been used. And obviously the tool that I've been using rights capabilities are classified as the more advanced, and that methodology can be also applied to your different teams and departments. So you can see we have like 4 buckets of usage: basic usage, personal usage, company retrieval, and advanced workflow. And by just classifying all the outputs per agent, per department, you can also look at kind of the maturity of each department, or at least the kind of usage that they have. Some people, obviously, I don't know, CSM, account managers, sales may use a lot of personal productivity because it's also based on their job function, where other might have different usage. So this is the first maybe bit of answer.
Hi, you hear me? So thank you very much for all your work for this team. Thank you very much. I'm working at a very similar company to Lore. It's 1,000 like 1,400 people company, and we're in our 3rd year of deployment at Dust. So my question is very similar to the previous question. What kind of KPIs can follow up apart from obviously time saved and adoption, because they're kind of moving beyond that. And then I have some pressure from our executive leadership plus investors to kind of prove the worth of Dust. And it's kind of it's not really proving the worth of Dust, but really starting to measure impact beyond just time's sake, and it's quite difficult. So I would love actually to connect to the previous person, because I created kind of a framework for last year to be able to demonstrate maturity of departments. I did it kind of myself. So one of my objectives this year is actually to make it more robust and more like better, let's say. And by the way, the tools, this tracking of tool usage is going to help me enormously. That's just around. That here is about my question basically was more or less answered. There's just one more question that I wanted to ask is about ROI. That's another, is essential question I'm asking myself since maybe 6 months or even more is we first started tracking with self-reported time saving. Like, I don't know, 2 years ago, it made sense. But then last year I was telling myself, okay, if we're doing those surveys where people say I saved 2 hours or I saved whatever hours per week, what is the baseline? You know, because in the beginning, the baseline, I see Damien, you know, when you start using this, it's super easy. You know, the first few quarters, you run a survey and you know, you always base yourself on, you know, what was it before AI, but then when you run into a few years using AI, so what's your baseline? So did I save time based on what I would have, you know, spent had I not used AI, or based on, you know, last month or last quarter? And that is super, super difficult, you know, for us. So do you have any thoughts? I know you haven't maybe solve this problem, but any cards would be welcome. Thank you very much.
For sure. And yes, if I'm happy, then yes. So, and I think it's constantly changing and we're constantly revisiting the methods. And I think what we have with Léna right now works because we are able to remove this self-declaration piece. I mean, we use this survey, which was sort of so people could collect points. It wasn't like the survey you're going to fill. They could collect points based on the amount of hours that it could potentially save, but it was only a survey to understand what was the potential gain. So it wasn't really, hey, AI has taken me X amount of hours. It was just to identify where we could bring dust and the tools. Now it's I'm not sure we've cracked it yet. So we track the amount of hours that are saved based on the analysis of the messages and the tools used, and that's one thing. And then we track that also, like, of course, of roles, but also months and months. And you can also tie that, I guess, to the depth of usage per person. Like one person, maybe, and that's the trend that we are seeing right now. People maybe start with 10 messages a week, and then the next week it's 20. And now it's a month later, it's 100. And maybe we see them starting to use agents. And maybe we're starting to see them create agents. And maybe they didn't have previous, they're not prompt engineers and they're not really tied to AI, but they actually created agents for their teams. And so it's all about, I think, of course, the ROI piece is there and it's constantly changing, but it's also how each and everyone in the company is able with us to become AI experts, prompt engineers, because agents at the end of the day, I speak of them as like, well, they're assistants, agent, but think of the prompt, for example, as like your job description. And so for me, it's more than metrics. It's about transforming the way people work. And the way people, and I think like what I said to people is, well, you're creating skills for the future here. Like in the future, AI, it's not just a fad, it's there to stay. And with Dust, you have the ability to easily create that. And I think that's also something to take away. It's not simply in terms of hours. Yes, we track them overall. Yes, we track them month to month. But it's also about how many people become agent builders, for example, and then create those skills, embed those skills. Because that's how you achieve transformation. You're not 10 to 100 people. It's like 500, 600, 1,000. So yeah, long answer, but I think it's still very much in progress. And maybe in 6 months, we'll have a different answer. Anyway.
Maybe just a word of the baseline. What we see is like at the moment, like many companies are redoing their whole job description and are asking the people what should be your job. And I don't know, you're working in finance, sales, and so on. What's your new job? So maybe the baseline is changing so fast that you need to also reassess and recalculate the new baseline each 6 months based on what's supposed to be the day-to-day job as for now.
And maybe for me, the good KPI or the good question right now, where we are today in 2026 with just the acceleration that happened in the last few months, it's not the question of the ROI, it's how fast you go because you have to go. So, but I'm like, yes, the CFO is asking about the ROI, but honestly, for me, it's not the right KPI. my KPI for the year, it's 100% daily active usage, but daily, it's not like one message, it's more. So for me, adoption, like if everybody is using, and it's Dust and other tools, because our engineering team, it's not their tool, it would be more code or whatever, but if they are using it 10, 100 times a day, it means it works. Then maybe if you don't believe AI is saving time, then okay, you have the question of the ROI, but yeah. But I understand the struggle. Okay.
We're going to do one last question.
Hello, so thank you for sharing all your insights. I'm going back on the question on the data quality of the previously, but more on the output part. So you partly answered tricks with the confidence score, but it's for an agent that does knowledge retrieval and stuff. When we start automating processes, the agents become autonomous, and it becomes harder to track any hallucination. I was wondering if you had any insights on what you could do for that. Because on my side, this is where I'm getting a productivity plateau. You have the adoption of employees, but you have also the adoption of a company and company processes. I was wondering if you have some more insight on that.
Much easier.
Yeah, and then I guess
For hallucination, I don't know, but like maybe it's around the topic of evaluation of performance and everything, which is also a challenge, a lot of challenges. And we're trying to use more and more, and honestly, today we don't use it much. I don't know if it's what's the case on your companies, but we're trying to use more and more the thumbs up, thumbs down, and incite people to rate and put comments now that also we can retrieve the context of the conversation. To analyze, but to be honest, we're not doing that much. Or for some very specific use cases, we've starting to implement pipelines of LLM as a judge, or like really evaluation pipelines. But it's just for a few critical processes that we're starting to build. So sorry, no silver bullet there.
Yeah, and I think to extend on that, there's different levels of criticality in terms of automation. Most of the automation that we have currently are internal processes, internal communications, maybe going on Slack, maybe going on Jira. So it's nothing customer facing. But what we are rolling out right now is a responsible AI industry. So it's all about making people sensitive about maybe the legal stuff and the risks as well about you have now this tool that is able to automate your messages and you send maybe many messages. Internally, it's okay. But if it starts going out to sellers to customers, that's a different issue. And now we are at the stage where we are trying to make people sensitive about their responsibilities, about if you're automating a process, well, if you're going to send out information or use information that's customer facing, let's really be mindful about. So it's all about, I think right now, just embedding those best practices into how people use AI. And yeah, I don't think maybe having a monitoring workflow, etc. But right now, this is a state we're in. Like internally, that's fine. Now it's making people sensitive about anything that goes out and making sure that it can go very fast and can go wrong very fast. So you want to make sure that people are sensitive to that.
So man in the video. So man in the video.
Yes, to start with, and ensuring that because you are able to automate, generate so much content, but ensuring that you don't automate at the critical part, because there are risks associated with that, and you are going to be in that.
Yes, and also making sure you always have, like, if you're putting some agents to replace some part of the process, always have a human verification of the output of the agent before following the next step and so on, so that you have like an agent doing a part of the process, someone checking what's the output and where should we reroute the output of this agent to which agents, having some like people checking what they are doing and how it could land on the next step of the process is always like a best practice, and at least you have a verification and not some workflows running by themselves. And as Daniel just said, like especially if you're like agents and automation are about client facing stuff, you avoid like sending mistakes.
It's great power come great responsibility. That's a message you don't train first line. So
Thank you so much. I think we're gonna take 15 minutes for 10 minutes. Okay, a quick drink. And sorry about the question that we didn't maybe answer. Happy to have the conversation with Okoka on the terrace.